So what's the biggest lesson that I've learned that I want to share with you? Let's find out. Hello, hello. Don't worry, I'm not trying to be Casey Neistat with the sunglasses on.
And you go even further, like without it.
It's just that I've got really horrible eyes, half hay fever and half hangover. Went out last night to a friend, Angie's birthday, and yeah, we'll say no more about that. A little bit too much red wine. That coupled with some nice hay fever and so feeling very special, got a splitting headache, and I thought this was kind of a good, I suppose, physical mood to broach this subject. I'm in a bit of a, I suppose, grumpy mood, if you can say grumpy. Mainly because I'm feeling horrible, I'm feeling like death warmed up, but also I'm feeling a bit off, and I know it's quite unusual for me to feel off and in a bit mood, but you know, it happens, and I like to be honest and I like to sort of tell it how it is. So here we go. What's the biggest lesson that I've learned? Well, this may sound like a real kind of whingy, whiny, moan kind of thing, but it's just how I feel, and I think it's a conclusion I've come to recently, and it almost pains me to sort of say it, but the conclusion I've come to is that basically everyone will let you down and you can't rely on anybody, full stop. Now obviously that's quite a sweeping statement, and it's quite a negative statement, and it's quite unusual for me to come out with such a thing.
And no negativity of any kind.
So let me qualify and explain what I mean. The problem I have, and maybe you have the same, I have sort of very high standards for many things, particularly for myself, but sort of other people and even my kids. I've got these sort of perhaps unattainable, possibly high standards for other people. Now the problem with that is that naturally leads on to high expectations. High standards is one thing, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it can be less of a good thing if it then leads on to high expectations. Now having high expectations of people is a sort of a dangerous area. I'm speaking myself, I'm setting the bar very high with my standards that I expect other people and myself, to be fair, to reach or to hit. And so often they are unattainable standards and therefore unattainable expectations. So I cannot help but be constantly let down by myself, by other people, etc. because I've set the standards so high, there's not any chance in hell that they can reach them. And when you think about it, that's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. I'm therefore constantly let down by other people by my own doing. So whilst the lesson I've learned is that everyone will let you down and you can't rely on anyone, because I've set ridiculously high expectations and standards. So it's a kind of a double-sided answer. I suppose the difficulty is that therefore, if I want to be less let down and feel less let down by people, I should therefore lower my standards that I expect, or lower my expectations. That feels wrong to me. That feels wrong to lower my standards and expectations of people, because those things come from a sort of a deep ingrained value system that I have. So it's kind of an odd one, because either I kind of rethink my values, and they may be wrong. You know, it's a very personal thing, and you know, I suppose they can't be right or wrong, but it's very subjective. But I have a completely rethink my whole value system and how I kind of project that onto other people, so therefore maybe change things so that people can meet those expectations and therefore I'm not let down, or I keep the same value system and high expectations and constantly get let down. So it's a bit of a tricky, you know, mind really, and maybe I'm overthinking it, possibly, I don't know. I mean, let me know in the comments this is something that you can relate to, because it's a hard one to sort of think about, and you know, maybe I'm just going off the rails again, who knows. It's ultimately, it's a very kind of big thing that's kind of on my mind, particularly today as I'm feeling a bit rough and
grouchy mood,
because there's two completely different people from different areas of my life that were going to get in touch with me for doing something this weekend. Neither of them have. Now, obviously, I could reach out to them. That's obviously fine. But, you know, when they said they would be in touch about this weekend,
nothing.
And ordinarily, I wouldn't be off by that. But I am a little bit, because I just think, well, you can't rely on anyone, you know. And I don't think that is a particularly high standard to have, or an expectation, if someone said they're going to get in touch about the weekend and then don't. I don't think that's really that insurmountable a task for me to kind of rely on. So I'm a bit surprised that neither, and they're completely unrelated people, and about two different things, and I was going to have to kind of work the two together somehow. I'm not coming on here to kind of whinge and whine and moan about stuff like that, but it's those kind of situations where I think, but again, I don't think I'm ridiculously high standards to expect someone to get in touch if they're saying they're going to get in touch. You know, I don't think that's that much of a high standard. There we go. But I thought I'd just kind of vent that here, which is, I said, another reason for this vlog is part kind of therapy for myself to kind of hear me talking things out, as well as hopefully giving some value to you guys, and, you know, maybe that sort of might trigger something in your mind that think, okay, yeah, that's a good point. But the greatest lesson I've learned is that I think I will continue to be constantly let down by people if I maintain my expectations and standards where they are, and then that whole dilemma of whether or not I kind of change that. And I suppose the point is that it's always a dangerous thing to project expectations onto other people, particularly when they have no idea that you have that expectation of them. Okay, the situation this weekend for me, different thing altogether, because that someone said they'd do something and they didn't. That's not really what I'm talking about. But I suppose it's things where I'd expect people to sort of do things or know things or tell something in a certain way because I believe that's the right thing to do based on my standards, and then they don't. But they don't know that I expect that of them. Again, it's sort of setting them up to fail. They haven't failed, it's just against my levels of standards and wrongly my expectations of them, which I've kind of projected. So that's 100% down to me, you know, and that's, I think, what I've kind of got to the point is that the reason that people are letting me down, and I feel let down by so many people, is because I've projected expectations onto them. And so, back to the point, you know, the greatest lesson I've learned is that I will be let down by people if I maintain my same sort of standards and projection of expectations on them. And I have to therefore think about whether or not I want to change those standards, those expectations, or how I do that. That's obviously a bit more an internal bit of soul searching, I guess. Okay, this has got a bit rambly actually, but you get my point. It's very easy to project expectations on other people, but if they have no idea what they are, then there's no possible way that they could ever kind of meet them. But if they do, it's by complete chance. And yeah, that's the danger of doing that. So that's it for today. It's a bit of a slight rant, but not really, a bit rambly, but I wanted to get this off my chest. I was going to do this outside, but I just went outside and no, it's not a place for me today. I'm feeling very delicate. I just wanted to share that with you and said, hope you got some value from this. If you have, hit that like button so it's nice and blue, a bit like I'm feeling today. And subscribe if you haven't. I really, really, really do appreciate it when you have. When you have, and that you do. God, I'm in such a mess.
Those you push down deep inside where you'll never, ever, ever, ever find them.
And I will see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully a bit better. Bye-bye. Thanks again for watching, guys. I really, really do appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do so down here. And check out my other video down here. Remember, live your best life and profit from that passion. See you next time. Bye-bye.